Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode number 116. This is an ongoing broadcast series designed for folks who are driven to become better at who they be and not distracted by merely getting better at doing what they do. And yes, I've changed that intro for the last several weeks because I realized that's what the core work is. That's the work that I do in my practice. And it's interesting. It's something that I haven't talked about in this broadcast, hence the change. So thankfully, now that we've got all the sound things, you can hear me. So here's the opportunity. If you will take just a moment and click share right below this video and invite your community, your colleagues, your friends, your Facebook people to this broadcast. The more voices we have in the conversation, the richer it is. So in the meantime, here's what we get to play with today. It's interesting as I played with this, I was sort of flashed back to seventh grade. My aunt gave me a framed quote from The Hobbit. It was a Gollum quote, and it said, "It is precious to me, though I buy it with great pain." And it's interesting that was, oh my God, that was on my wall throughout all of high school. It's in a box somewhere in this house at this point. It got me through some sort of gnarly emotional times in high school, in which, look, we all had our flavor of high school, right? I learned that the battle to get through often made the victory all the sweeter. On the flip side, there was a twisted side to that lesson, right? And it left me with this lingering belief that I fought with for a really long time, that it was only when something was hard that it was worthwhile, and I devalued the things that came easily. Or that were easeful as opposed to effortful. And unwinding that belief took, oh my God, a great deal of effort and a lot of intentionality and reprogramming. Now I have a much better reframe for that idea. And that's where this quote came up for me. I love the person I've become because I fought hard to become him. I'm blessed, and I wrote this in the email, that I can honestly say that I love the person I've become. And don't get me wrong, there are things about me that I'd love to see different, and I work at those. And warts and all, the person that I've become is the result of fighting hard to become myself. And I use the analogy that the metaphor from Michelangelo a lot. That it wasn't a matter of so much becoming someone as it was a matter of peeling off all the things that weren't me. You know, Michelangelo talked about, he didn't carve the sculpture from the stone. He chipped away everything that wasn't the finished piece. And I think that captures what the journey has been, right? And so I feel like this is a personal declaration to be able to say, I love the person I've become because I fought hard to become me. That's a powerful thing to be able to say. And I hope, to whatever higher power moves you, or to whatever higher power you're connected, that you're able to say that same thing, that you're able to own the power of who it is that you are and who it is that you're being, right? And that you feel like it's a hard-won and worthwhile battle to have made it to this point. Look, for some folks, it's been an easeful journey, and there are places along the way where it was easy. But it's remarkable to be able to stand here or sit here today at age 55 and be able to say that I'm proud of the person I've become. Yeah, I've noticed in a lot of these broadcasts and conversations and open calls that people are getting much more introspective throughout the 8 weeks of lockdown. I certainly have. So when this quote came up in my rotation, I was like, oh, wow, yes, this is definitely a place to play. And so I'm curious, how many of you can take that stance and make that declaration of that you love the person you've become because you fought hard to become them? What a powerful place to be. And Dave Perry, thank you for joining today. Glad that you were able to make it. I wrestle with time zones constantly to try to juggle how to get more of an audience together. And so, yeah, hence 10 a.m., right? So, or East Coast time. But yeah, that's the playground that's available here. What is it that you want to be able to declare right now? Where's the opportunity for you? What declaration are you ready to make? I go back to, damn, love the person that I've become because I fought hard to become them. And I know, David, the conversation we were having about the journeys that we've been on. I was going to say, David, I'm not surprised. This, given our conversation, we've all had the things that we've gone through to get to this point, and to be able to look back at all of them. There was a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow and I can't remember who, called Sliding Doors, years ago. And my wife and I talk about this one all the time, that in the movie diverges early on in the plot line, where in one version of the film, she makes it through the subway doors and gets home early and discovers something that unwinds her entire world. And on the other side, she doesn't make the subway and doesn't get home early, and her life goes off in a different direction. And what I take from that always is that any of the cringe-worthy moments in my past, any of the things I wish were different, had they gone a different way, I can look at these three children that Elaine and I have and be really clear, those would not be my children. Any sliding door moment that had gone another way, my life would be completely different. So I wouldn't want to do anything over. And I say that now. There are lots of points along the way where I look back and I'm like, ugh. But no, knowing who I am now and loving who I am now, I wouldn't want to change any of those sliding door moments. It allows me to say how many things I want to do differently going forward and how many shifts I'd like to create. But I don't want to do anything over. David, that's beautiful. It's an even better version me to fight for. Yeah, brilliant declaration. I like the opening that up to the future. And what I love about that is, my God, in my world, that's something that I hope to be able to say forever. I don't harbor the fantasy that we're ever done. I love the idea of loving who I am at each stage along the way, and at the same time, always having something else to play with and move for. Yeah, thank you for sharing that declaration. Where my brain is going at this point, besides clicking buttons, is we're staring almost halfway through March, almost halfway through May right now. I swear I have these broadcasts on Monday and the open calls I do on Friday, just so during lockdown I know exactly what day of the week it is. Yeah, now that we're almost halfway through May, there's an opportunity. We're halfway through second quarter, and it's an interesting opportunity to evaluate or reevaluate what we want to create for the rest of this quarter, and how. And I'm so stuck on this idea of the only way to predict the future is to invent it. What is it that we want to invent as we move forward into this next phase of interesting times? It's not lockdown. As we look around the country, more and more countries have begun to open their world back up, and more of the states here in the US have begun to open their world back up. And whether or not things are going to go back, that's a political conversation right now. The most important question is, as things begin to open back up, what do you want to invent? What do you want to create? It's easy to stay in the chaos phase where we're only wrapped up in our in our desire to have financial or emotional or physical safety, and yet we don't have a luxury of sitting around and wallowing in that chaos. There has to be some impetus, some drive, some drawing us forward into that acceptance and new normal phases, and really to begin to take an active, a proactive and responsive role in creating what's next. And it's fascinating. I know that I've got a video preview of me here, so I am saying this to me, and I'm saying this to me also because I noticed over the weekend I got spiraled back in and out of that dark of what the fuck, right? Of I'm tired of being in lockdown. But then again, I work from home anyway. So I dip in and out of that chaos and that reactivity. And yet, this is an opportunity to continue to fight hard for the person I am becoming. And to fight hard right now and to put the effort in to create what it is that I want to see created on the other side of this craziness. Right? Today I start the positive intelligence program, and I know Shazad Shamin did not schedule this to happen during pandemic, but my God, what a brilliant time to be working on positive intelligence. And I really am looking forward to, infusing something new into the work that I do. Every time some new element comes in, I get to see how that content and that body of work weaves its way into the fibers of all the different stuff I brought on before. It's not just putting another book on the shelf, it's seeing how the pages interlace with everything else. And so I'm excited about this program starting today. In fact, as soon as I'm done with this video, I start taking that stuff in. And again, that gets me repumped back into, and I really love David's declaration. This gets me really tied back into the idea of what is it that I want to see created, that I want to be part of the creation of coming out of this next half of a quarter. What is the better version of me to fight for? And that's the cool question to play with. So that's the opportunity. And that's the invitation for this week, is between now and next Monday, not just to come to mindsetmondays.tv, to come to the Facebook group and see some of the current and past videos, but more importantly, to decide what you want to create. And what is that next version of you that's worth fighting for? So between now and next Monday, what mindset will you choose?